So nice to meet you again, Virginie.
Nice to meet you, Cyril.
So you're the second speaker of Procter & Gamble. So my first question is, Procter & Gamble's sector has based its growth on increasing consumptions. This culture of more has created the global issues like plastic. How do you answer that? What is your response?
So I would say first that people increasingly are starting to see the limits of the culture of more, because it seems to be inversely correlated with the good life. You know, we own 70 times more stuff than in the 50s, and now we're 70 times happier for that. You know, and it's true that packaging waste has become the symbol of what is wrong with the way we consume. But we believe that there is another way. That's what the UN calls SDG 12. That's responsible consumption. And now we've put that at the heart of our brands.
Okay, so can you explain us more about what Procter & Gamble is part of the solution?
Yeah, I will give you examples. Today, as I said on stage this morning, we are announcing what we called our Brand 2030 criteria. And those are the criteria that we are now holding our brands accountable to deliver, you know. And they are about asking all of the brands to innovate, to reduce their footprint, and also to communicate, to promote sustainable behavior, to be transparent on ingredient safety, and to decrease their impact across their supply chain. And we asked each of them to define what is their specific ambition, what is their specific commitment. So for instance, I'll start with Ariel. Ariel is my brand.
Just before showing us the example, can you just share with us numbers? How many products you have in how many countries?
Yes.
Just to
set the stage on how we can make a difference. Actually, you know, when I worked on Head and Shoulder, we had a young assistant who once told me, I joined P&G because I know that if I only shave off a few grams on each of my Head and Shoulders bottle, the impact I could have would be greater than some environmentalists for their entire life, you know? And why? Because we touch 5 billion people every day with our brands, you know? And we have 65 brands. 20 of those are leaders in their category. So have the power and the scale to influence the conversation and how people consume.
Yeah, so you can be so impactful. So
I'll show you examples and start with Ariel. I worked 12 years on this brand, wonderful brand. Ariel's ambition is to reinvent a better clean by reducing the resource needed to do your laundry by 50%. This is very, very significant. It means less water, less energy, less material. You know, Cyril, just turning from 40 to 30 degrees on your washing machine can save you 35% of energy. I mean,
you can tweet, huh?
It is big. It is big. So what is Ariel's commitment? So to reduce resources. And one very specific is on plastic packaging. So I need my two hands to open this because it's shelf proof.
It's closed, yeah?
I think I opened it before, yeah. So the commitment is to reduce plastic packaging by 30% by 2025. This is really big. It's actually above and beyond our corporate goals. That's what I call brand activism. You know, they go beyond the corporate goal because they've made this commitment and this ambition. And so one of the ways, so this is Ariel Pods, you know, that's our most sustainable laundry form because it's so compacted. And so this commitment on reducing plastic, so this is plastic packaging, reducing by 30% by 2025. One of the ways to do that is to move from this plastic tub to this, which is a film. And then, Cyril, you are going to, and this is 75% reduction of plastic, you know, between that, 75. Now, you are going to ask me, is this recyclable?
Yeah.
And I'm going to answer, not yet, you know.
But because you will improve.
But we are working on it, because this is a multi-layer film, which is very hard to recycle, but we are working on a mono-layer polyethylene film, which will be recyclable. Actually, France is the first country where this will be recyclable as of 2021. So 75% reduction and a recyclable film. That's one way to reduce plastic packaging.
Is it available in France? Because I saw that in sometime I bought.
It will be soon.
It will
be
well.
soon. I'll tell you as soon as it is.
Okay.
But next year it will be in market. So that's one way to reduce plastic packaging. But another way is to use durable, refillable packaging. And so this baby is part of the Loop platform. You may have heard about Loop. If you haven't, we'll talk about it this afternoon, which is a new shopping platform which replaces disposable packaging by durable, refillable, very experiential packaging. And this is an area participating into Loop. And so this can be refilled several times. And we've calculated that after 5 refill cycles, it's actually more environmental friendly than the equivalent shopping platform with disposable products. So that's one example on area. Can I give another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love examples.
So I will start with a question. How many of you were babies in 1974? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You may not remember it, but this is the diaper you were wearing. Look at that. I mean, when I saw it first, I said, is it an adult diaper? No, it's baby diaper.
This is for
1974.
baby, no senior.
No, baby. Yeah? 1974. How many of you were babies in 1994? Yes, some. Okay, this is what you were wearing, guys. Better, but still very bulky. If I show you what today's babies are wearing, this is very thin. This is 60% less material than this one. And the brand is committing to further decrease the material weight. I mean, today, a baby wears about, in diapers, 150 kilo of diapers during its diapering lifetime. With Pampers, because we innovate and make materials more efficient, it's 30 kilos less. And the brand is going to go beyond that. And not just reducing the material, but also recycling the material. If you have a chance, you go to our booth and you will see this big diaper bin. It's to recycle
I would like
diapers.
To be invited, yeah.
Yeah, we invite you. You are invited. And so it's a diaper bin. People go and open it with a QR code. And we have now a technology that recycles 100% of used diaper into cellulose, into mixed plastic, into absorbent material that can be reused in other applications. So it's the Pampers commitment.
You are working to be more inclusive in the circular economy.
Absolutely. This is closing the loop and driving the circular economy. Maybe one last example on this. Herbal Essence. You know the brand?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So Herbal Essence. Ambition to enable people to experience the positive power of nature and to protect biodiversity. But this is not just words. This shampoo contains real botanicals, and this is the first shampoo which is endorsed by Kew Botanical Garden. I don't know if you know Kew Botanical Garden, but they are the experts in plant science. When you go there, you have 8 million of seeds that they inventorize, and they are ready to recreate entire biodiversity, you know, when things are destroyed by natural disasters. And so this is the first global haircare product with real botanicals. That's a way to protect biodiversity. They are also endorsed by PETA. You know, PETA are the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals. It's a cruelty-free brand.
Yeah, PETA, yeah.
And biodiversity is plants, but it's also protecting biodiversity in ocean. And so Herbal Essence is launching this
Season change. I didn't know about
that.
Who knows that?
Launching in the US. So if you live in the US, you may have seen it. See the change. So you can imagine that the bottle is made with beach plastic, recycled beach plastic.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That's why it's Sea of Change.
It's very interesting. TerraCycle and yeah.
And it's a partnership with TerraCycle. They help us collect the plastic on beaches and then process it, clean it, and recycle.
With beach plastic.
Voilà.
Yeah.
So those are 3 examples. I have more, but maybe we can
So I think you don't all create this alone. So maybe you are making many partnerships. Can you tell us more
Yeah.
about that?
I mean, all of the example I just gave. So you read TerraCycle on it. This is one of the partners to make beach plastic bottle, but we also need people like Suez. Any people from Suez in the room? No? No? Well, they help us, process the recycled content into our bottles. I talked about Kew Botanical Garden. We have people help us with credentialing. When we do diaper recycling, obviously we don't do that alone. I mean, we invented the technology of recycling diaper with our JV partner in Italy, Fater. But when we go to a city to propose the diaper recycling, we start with working with governments because they need to create the policy. Very often there is no policy on what is waste for diapers. So we work with government, we work with local authority, with waste operators. So all of this requires partnership. And maybe another example.
You have another example?
Yeah, I have plenty of examples. This is Ariel Pure Clean. You may have seen that because we are selling this in Europe, in France. And our partner here is RSB, which is the Roundtable for Sustainable Biomaterial. They basically assess the plant-based material we have and endorse it. So, yeah, you can't do sustainability alone, that's for sure. You need partnership to create change at scale.
Of course, but do you see differences from country to country, and what is particularly relevant or different in France?
Yeah. So actually, we talked that on stage this morning, and we said that sustainability issues are broadly the same across countries. What's different is the manifestation of it. And in this research that we placed 3 years ago in 8 countries around the world, when we asked people, when you buy a product, what are the considerations that come to mind? And we had a list of 15 behaviors. And the top 5 were saving money, choices that are better for my health or well-being, saving energy, water, or reducing the waste I'm producing. Right. And the other might change country to country. In France, actually, France was the only country with China where saving money came second only to making choices that are better for my health and well-being. And this is the specificity of French consumers. 79% of French consumers believe that FMCG products can cause health issues. This compared to 55 in Spain and Germany and 50 in the UK. This is very high. 72% of French consumers, when they buy a product, what do? They read the label to see if there are not any ingredients they don't like. And if there is something they don't like, 44% of them are ready to switch. This is plus 19 points versus 5 years ago. So this is a big trend.
You are so challenging.
So France and South Korea are the top in terms of wanting to understand what is in the product and voting with their wallet.
France and South Korea. Yeah. Can you explain?
Yeah, no.
No? Me neither. France and South Korea. No. Yeah.
I think in France it comes from food, organic food. It's first what you put in your body, then what you put on your skin, what you breathe in your air, and all the products we have. But, food is very important in France, and organic food has been growing. And so as an extension, all the other things around, people are really demanding here.
Yeah. And in South Korea, they love eating as well?
In South Korea, I don't know, anyone from South Korea who could help me here?
No.
Yes?
Would you like to say something about South Korea? Trends or...
So what you see in South Korea is a lot of issues reporting because of the influence of China and the scandals coming in China in the food supply, in the air quality. Pollution, for example, of air is coming to South Korea a way it wasn't 5 years ago. And so the level of awareness is becoming really high. And the way people clean their floor, for instance, is driven by concern about what they breathe. So it's kind of redefined what kind of categories they're buying. So I think that also applies to food and chemicals.
Great.
Yeah, good answer, interesting answer. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to help us. Do you have any question for Virginie? Yeah, I think you have.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm quite curious about your approach to zero waste concerning packaging, because even if you're making admirable efforts to reduce the impact of your packaging, there's also a trend into refillables that use glass, that use other containers that are more durable than plastic. Have you envisioned maybe no packaging? Have you envisioned solid bars for shampoo? What's your approach on this?
We have actually. Can I share another example?
Wow.
This is an upstream technology that is called DS3. So what is inside this? I have one.
You want
here.
me? Yeah.
Can you do that? Okay.
Of course,
so you
I
open
try.
It,
I'm a woman.
you open it. You have two products here. You open one here, like this. And this is soap. I can't do it with half a hand. Voila. This is a swash. You know, you zero water in this and
It smells good.
zero packaging. I mean, we do that for the sample. And basically, it's 80% less space, 75% less gas emission, and it can be any product. So we have hand shampoos, dish care, all in swatches, you know. That's one way that we are looking at it. But I'd like to say something, which is that, you know, there is a lot of plastic bashing going around, like plastic is bad, plastic is bad. Plastic is actually one of the best material, the most sustainable material, because it's so light. You know that cereal, if you were to replace all of the plastic by another material, the negative impact on the environment will be 4 to 5 times worse, because it will be heavier, and the light is what makes it really sustainable. Now, what's bad is when plastic leaks into the environment, especially the ocean, where it ultimately ends up. So our focus is actually on driving the circular economy. I mean, our focus is really on recycling the diapers, on making 100% of our packaging recyclable or reusable. I'm a big fan of Loop, obviously. We have, 10 of our brands participating in Loop, but I also know that it will take time, for people to move completely to a refillable system.
I would like to taste this.
Yeah, it's for you, actually. I have another one for you. Up. You can take it.
Thank you. Other question? Don't be
French
shy.
consumers, so
You are all
demanding.
French consumers. Yeah, 2 more hands.
Hi, Virginie. Do you have anything within the company where you think no matter what we do with it, we may just need to choice edit and decide to not be part of that category anymore?
All the ones that we've sold? No, but that was not the reason why we sold them. That's a good question. We don't, because we will not be into it if we believe that there would not be a benefit for people. I mean, all our overall company purpose is touching life, improving life for now and generations to come. And so we don't have a right to play in a category if we don't believe that we can address a consumer need in a way that is better than all the available alternatives. I mean, that's our reasons for being. And as we do that, now we are saying it's not just that. The functional benefit is not enough. It needs to have a higher social or environmental commitment, that we are offering. But the reason why we don't play in a category will be if we can't deliver a benefit for people that is better than the available alternatives.
And the other question for your neighbors?
Wonderful presentation, thanks.
Thank you.
I love all the great examples.
We could applaud you because you are the first speaker since yesterday that
Showing
dared.
toys.
Yeah, so thank you for the
Really
presentation.
should, yes.
Because it's easier for me, and I think it's easier to understand more with the audience to see how you change your products to eco-conception, etc. So thank you to work with us and to bring your products. Thank you so much.
So in the spirit of the hot seat, you did another thing courageous, I thought, which was that you just defended plastic. That's not very popular these days. But short of saying life cycle assessment and like giving us a speech on the science and all the pieces, you were able to sort of say, hey, wait, there's options here, and we should think about that. I love engaging consumers because that's what it eventually is all about. And at the same time, consumers can really send us in the wrong direction sometimes based on what's popular or what's in a fad, etc. And I don't expect consumers to stand in the aisle at the grocery store and do a life cycle assessment analysis in their head to decide what's the better choice. Huh? So how do you, as an organization, address the mix between trying to figure out what's really the science-based best way to go given the circumstances and communicating that even if it's not exactly the most popular solution today?
Yeah, it's a great question. It is the question. And I think where it is the most difficult is really on ingredient. I think plastic, once people understand that we are working on keeping it as long as possible in the system, it kind of makes sense, I think on ingredients, it's more difficult. Because in ingredients, the two different approaches that exist, hazard-based or risk-based, it's called. Hazard-based is just, on a list of ingredients, if the ingredient is present, even if it's of infinitesimal quantity, people say it's unsafe. And risk-based is there actually a risk? And we are more on a risk base. We have thousands of scientists, assessing each of our products, and they are all safe. And the margin that we are taking, like we are assuming that babies would wear that every day for their entire life, and that 100% of the ingredients will penetrate through the skins, totally realistic. But that's the type of margin that we are taking to make sure our products are 100% safe, and independent people are saying 100% safe. However, people are looking at the ingredients, and if it's there, they don't want to buy it. So we are giving the choice. So we are saying we will have shampoo with no paraben, no paraffin, no. Yeah, we are giving the choice because we respect that, but we are totally confident, 100% sure that everything we are selling is 100% safe. But that's one of where we are. I don't want to say compromising, but we are letting the consumer voice, tell us what they want to buy. Yeah.
Yeah, other questions? You will have the microphone.
Thank you. You have already said that sustainable development cannot be driven only by one stakeholder, and we need partners. I totally agree with that. And my question is, when you want to put the frame of this partnership, what are the terms you agree on, for example, and if there is some problems on values between the two partners, how do you manage to solve that? And while doing development, what are the main arguments you as organization put in front to convince people to trust you and do this process with you?
That's a great question. So successful partnerships are the one where partners have the same agenda. I mean, it sounds obvious, but very often partnerships fail because the overall objective is not aligned. So first and foremost is, are we working for the same overall end goal, same objective? And then you need to make sure that we have complementary skills and competencies. If you partner, it's because they are going to complement what you know how to do. And then you need to make sure that in this partnership, everybody gets something. It needs to be a win-win-win-win all over. A good example is diaper recycling. So as I said, on diaper recycling, we can't do it alone, and we have many partners. And we are working, it's still work in process, because it's fairly complicated. But we are working to make sure that every player across the chain is getting value, is getting a fair value. And the idea is that because it costs money to collect the diaper, it costs money to process the diaper. The idea is that at the end of the chain, when we sell the new material, the plastic and the cellulose, and it will pay for the upstream cost, and everybody will get something. But it's something that it's absolutely, we can't take it for granted, aligning the end goal, making sure that we have complementary skills and competencies, and making sure that everybody is getting value from the partnership. Yes?
Is this working? Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. It's really great to see all the examples you have as well. I just had a question about downstream impacts. Obviously, a lot of your products have negative downstream impacts which you don't necessarily have control over. So it'd be nice to hear kind of the things that you're doing to, I guess, teach your consumers how to use your products in a more sustainable way and how to have less impact downstream where maybe you have a bit less control.
It's funny when you're talking downstream. For us, it's we call it the in-use phase, yes, which is actually the most important. 70% of P&G carbon footprint is when people wash their hair, wash their clothes, not the diapers, there is no water, but 70% of all the categories use water. And we started decades ago to explain to people that if they wash their clothes in cold water, you know, the energy that they could save, I mean, 40 to 30, yeah, 35% electricity saving. So we are totally taking responsibility for this. I mean, another example will be on dish care. You know, now the dishwashers are very water efficient. The best one only use 6 liters of water. But what do you do, cereals, when before putting your, don't look at your thing, before putting your dishes in the dishwasher, what do you usually do?
Just nothing.
You put directly your dirty dishes in the dishwasher? Yes, most of us, we pre-rinse them. You know, when they're very dirty, you want to pre-rinse them.
But I'm a clean woman, you know.
You are a clean woman. And you only eat grains, so it's not dirty. But anyway,
of course, you wash a little bit with your soap, and then you push on your dishwasher.
But that's where you save, that's where you waste water, because it's 1 minute, 6 liters, you know. And so, taking responsibility for this, we developed, it's called Fairy Platinum in the UK and Germany, and it cleans so well that you can skip the rinse and saving a lot of water. So we take responsibility for this. And lately, our biggest thing is the goal that no P&G packaging will find its way to the ocean. That's taking responsibility for the very end of life. And we have many things that we do for that, on innovation, on consumer engagement, on working with partners to build waste management infrastructure in countries where there is none. So we absolutely do.
Very interesting. Another last question here for Virginie. Are you sure I'm clean? Huh? Don't I see that. Yeah.
Hello, I'm here. I had another question about the effects of your products once they are used and once they go in the nature, they go in the water. They have a lot of products that can be harmful for the environment, for the ocean, for the rivers where they go, and they are they are very hard to control, and they are very hard to manage, but they have a big effect on the ecosystems. And how do you, for the shampoos, for the everything, so how do you
fix it?
Yeah, how do you fix it, and how do you plan to work on that?
So I wish I could take you with me to Cincinnati, where we have our global headquarters, to visit our labs. We have labs where we have dozens of square meters filled with aquarium and fishes, and a product cannot go to the market if it doesn't pass the test on ecosystem safety.
I hope all the fish are still alive after.
And yeah, they are. I mean, I'll invite you as well. But I mean, some are not, and then the product doesn't go to market. You know, I mean, but it's something actually. We started our safety work very long time ago. We're one of the first company actually to have a safety department, and we started with that, with ecosystem safety, and especially safety in the rivers. And testing all our products so that they could be safe. I mean, I talked about safety is like the number 1, 2, and 3 priority of the company. We have so many researchers working on this, and it's water, it's all the ingredients, you know, and we are putting a lot of margin so that we can't be wrong. And we're constantly improving, obviously. The water treatment system are improving, we're adapting to this. We were one of the first companies to remove all the phosphates from our detergent and dishwashing products, you know. While we know that phosphates in detergent is a very tiny part versus agriculture, but nevertheless, we remove all the phosphates, even if it was legal in some country, you know. So absolutely critical. And we keep improving. I'm not saying we are perfect, but this is an area of focus for us, which is tremendous.
And are you working on products in order to protect, for the example, the coral reef? The corail.
Yeah, well, we don't have a product that is for the coral reef, but that's the same thing. I mean, coral reef is mostly affected by global warming. So indirectly, when you will now wash your clothes in 30 degrees, you will do something good for the coral reef. You know, it's not a direct impact, but it is a certain indirect impact.
And last question for Virginie. Yeah.
You talked about infrastructure, and some of the issues are the category rather than just your products. So do you or will you collaborate with Unilever, Reckitt Benckiser, SC Johnson on category solutions to fix the bigger issues?
Oh, absolutely, we are. Actually, just staying on the cold wash examples, at the time I was working on Ariel, and we were part of the industry association, and we realized that we will all benefit if we work together to encourage people to wash in cold, which is a very interesting thing, is because you have to understand the line between pre-competitive and competitive. The pre-competitive space is let's all get together, and we all went with Unilever, with Henkel and others, to brief an agency to develop a campaign which is called I Prefer 30, together, pre-competitive space. Now, the competitive space is that each one of us develop the best product to wash in cold. But in that case, we need to understand what's pre-competitive, what's competitive, and we work together. The latest example is the Alliance to End Plastic Waste that we launched in January, last January. And it says two things. It says the mission is to end plastic waste, and it says that it's an alliance. We can't do it alone. Henkel is part of it. Pepsi is part of it. And we work together to do many things. Technology, cleanups, building on waste management infrastructure, starting with Southeast Asia. I can't make countless of examples where we work with our competitors.
Thank you so much, Virginie. We can applaud her. Thank you so much for your presence and your inspiring discussion. Thank you, Virginie. See you later, of course.